So at this stage, you might be ready to add some text on top of a photograph. So it's really simple and basic. There's a simple T tool. Now, please remember, this text tool might take a minute to activate, so please be patient with it. So to use that text tool, first of all, you're going to go ahead and just click on it. Now, just know, if you click and hold, you can do a vertical text tool as well. For example, if this said B-E-A-T-L-E-S down the side, you could use that vertical text tool if you wanted to. But most people, for most intents and purposes, need the horizontal. What you're going to do is you're going to select your text tool, just click on it to activate it. You're going to go ahead and you could just simply begin by clicking, and you're going to find that it has that little dot. Please know that that does not end up coming out after you start typing. That just indicates a starting point. I very rarely use the text tool like that. It's not one of my favorite things to do. Instead, what I do is give it parameters from the start. So I actually click and hold that click, and I drag a box across however big I need it. And then I start working on my text. Just like anything, I have left, center, and right justification. You could change your text size. You can change your text color. I'm going to go ahead and put an oddball color so it really shows up. You can change your font. You can see that the fonts give you a little opportunity to see what, basically what it looks like over there. So I'm going to upsize this. Please note that there are some standard sizes, but you can type anything in here. The biggest is not 72. You could type in 300 there if you need it. But just know that if you start typing and nothing comes up, chances are very strong your text is either way too small or way too big to fit in this box. Like I just typed B-E-A and it's nowhere. It looks like it's not working. Then I'm like, oh, it's at a 300 point font. So what I'm going to do is Control A to select all that text. Let me bring it down to something reasonable so I could, there it is. L-E-S. Oh. Highlight it. Let's maybe bring it up. Maybe I'll try a 60. Oh, maybe I'll try an 80. Now there's a faster way of doing that. I usually bring this down and I'll show you that faster way in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and click off of that layer or just click on a tool and it will accept my work. Now I go back here. If I wanted to resize this, if it was really weird to kind of size it, I can Control T or edit, free transform. You can see that's Control T. You're going to get that ability to drag this bigger. Okay? It'll automatically resize your font. It will also allow you to make something, maybe you needed something a little taller and thinner or shorter and wider. It'll allow you and afford you the opportunities to do that. And when you're done, just like whenever you resize anything else, you're going to go ahead and press the Enter key. So you've got that opportunity to add that, change the size, etc. Okay? A couple more things that could be very helpful for you. If you double click over here on this little negative part, you're going to open up a layer style. I'm going to move that down so you can see. You could put, for example, a bevel and emboss. You can see that it gave it a little bit of detail. Don't forget, click on the word so your menu changes. You can see it a lot more when I do it like this. So a lot of your album covers will have those designs on them, those letterings that have that really cool. Here, you've got a lot of opportunity to try some different things. Maybe I want to chisel it and give it more angle. Okay? You also can put an outer stroke on it. If I click on the word, you'll see my menu changes. This has a white outer stroke. I could change that to, let's say it needs to be black for some reason. A black outer stroke. I can change the size of it. I can change the positioning. This one will obviously swallow up my letters a little bit if it goes to the inside, but there's a lot of opportunity here for kind of messing around with that. Those are probably some of the most common ones, but you can also add in things like a drop shadow behind it. We've talked a little bit about drop shadows on the previous video on the album cover part 2. So you can know a little bit about a drop shadow there. You could even put a gradient overlay. If you see the gradient overlay, you might need a special effect. And what do I do with that? In a gradient, just like using the gradient tool, which is underneath your paint bucket, you can also fix it right over here where you click on it. And you could say, this color right here, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change that one. Let's say that one I want to have in the red zone like that. Okay, good. This one, let's say I'm going to click on that one, and I want to keep that one maybe a little bit more of like a dark red. This one, I'm going to Actually, you know what? This one I'm going to delete. I'm going to select that point, and I'm going to go ahead and say delete. So now I only have a 3-color gradient. This final one is where I'm going to go ahead and put it to, let's just say black. I'm going to go over here, make sure it's a very true black. You can see that it's a true black over here. I don't have anything going on. And then I could mix this up a little bit differently. I can move these around. Notice when I move that little diamond, I get more of a blend in there. So you can see what happens in there. I may also want to reverse it simply, where I can put that red on the top and the black on the bottom. So it's kind of nice to have that option. And I've got a ton of other options in here where I'm able to actually change it in a different style, which could work better for yours. Perhaps not. Perhaps it's just a straight up linear, which is going to work better for you. So obviously that black outer stroke might not work for that one. Maybe you know I need to change that to a white. Whatever it might be, you've got all those opportunities to do it at that point, okay? To change up your font, what I like to do is I like to double click on the T so that this word is highlighted. I then just click one time up here in my font menu. So it's in blue. Just click once so it's in blue. And I use my keyboard arrows to actually scroll down. I just go one at a time and just watch what happens. Oh, suddenly I love it. It's perfect. I just need to change that font size. And then I'm going to accept that, and now I'm going to transform it. And I'm going to make it wider to make sure it fits where I need it to be. Press the Enter key, and it's fabulous for what I need, whatever that might be, hopefully. Okay? The very last thing that I want to show you is right-clicking on, again, that little negative space and warping your text. That's a sort of, again, another level of text usage, but warping that text gives you the opportunity in here to arc it, up or lower, or just a plain arc. So notice the difference. They give you a little tiny icon, so really pay attention to that. And do all these really cool things. So let's say I needed it to be a little bit curved. You can see right now it's kind of disappeared a little bit, so I'm going to bring that back. Sometimes it goes way too big or way too small. Again, you can fix that when you transform it when you're all done. Here, let's say I don't want it bent that much. I want to sort of unbend it a little bit. Maybe I want it really curved. And in that case, you can see that it's gone past the parameters of my work. But we can fix that. I'm going to say, okay. On that layer, after it's finished processing, I'm going to Control T. Again, that Control T was Edit, Free Transform. You can see it right there. Looks like nothing happened. And it didn't because, let me zoom out, Control minus, there's that box. That box was all the way past my viewing area. So if you ever Control T or Free Transform and you don't see where it went, please zoom out. It's probably there, and sometimes it's off to the side. So you really want to look for that. So in this case, I'm going to hold that Shift key to drag it smaller. That Shift key maintains proportion. I let go of that click and I look at it. Maybe I'll bring it up. Notice it kind of acts a little funny sometimes. Just give it a second to correct. I'm going to hold that Shift key because, again, I want to maintain proportion. I let go, and there's my true finished result. Again, when I drag it, notice how it gets a little bit bigger. It's kind of weird, but it just is what it is. I'm going to bring that up higher. Let's say that's perfect. Press that Enter key. So again, today, you learned on how to use the text tool, and you also know that there's a vertical type tool. We're not going to deal with these right now, so you can just ignore them. Horizontal type tool is pretty normal. You also learned about how to put an effect on your text by coming in here and double clicking on that negative space and giving yourself the opportunity to try some of these different styles. Make sure to select the words, not just the checkbox, so you can change them as needed. You also right-clicked on here and you learned how to warp the text. So again, using all those things together, as well as your free transform tool and changing of your fonts, could give you some really amazing results to this album cover. So make sure you use it wisely.